Let's talk about HTTP or Hypertext Transfer Protocol. HTTP is a protocol which allows fetching of resources such as HTML documents. It is the foundation of any data exchange on the web and is a client server protocol. Uh, what this means is that any client server interaction on the internet follows this protocol, and there are a bunch of things that you need to know about this protocol. So the first thing we need to talk about are HTTP request methods. So these are the different methods: get, post, put, patch, and delete. There are other methods also, but these are the most used ones. So let's talk about them. So the first request we'll talk about is the GET request, which simply means that the client is asking for a particular resource from the server. So let's say this is your client and you are visiting some kind of blog website. So the client wants to read a particular blog. So client will send a GET request for a particular blog, and the server will then search its database and retrieve the blog post, and it will send back the article back to the client. So this is how GET requests work. So the next request we'll be talking about is the POST request, and POST request simply means that the client wants to submit or wants to send some data back to the server. So it's exactly opposite of GET request. In GET request, client is asking for data, and in POST, the client is sending data back to the server. So a very common example will be when you log in or sign up to a particular page, or maybe let's say you are visiting Amazon.com and you have ordered something and you want to give the address to the website. So in that case, you will submit your address to the website, and once you press the submit button, that data, the address of yours, will be sent back to the Amazon server. So this is how post request work. Basically, the client sends a post request along with a body, and this body is the data that you need to send to the server, and then the server will do the further processing. Basically, it will maybe store this data into their database. Let's talk about these two requests, put and patch. And these two requests are used when you want to update some kind of resources back on the server. So let's say, let's again take the example of Amazon.com, where you entered your address. Now let's say you did some kind of error, or maybe you moved somewhere else. That's why you need to update your address. So in those cases, you will use these two requests. So basically, these two requests are used for updating your data which is already there on the server. Let's talk about delete request, which is pretty self-explanatory. Delete request is used to delete some kind of data from the server. So these are the most commonly used HTTP requests. One important thing to note here is that both put and patch requests can be used to update resources on the server. So what's the basic difference between them? So put request, when we send a request, we send a new payload, and what it really means that in put request, we will exchange or replace the existing data with the new data. So this is kind of updation only, but instead of updating the resource, we are replacing with the new one. So this existing resource will be replaced by this new resource. In case of patch, what we really do is we simply modify the existing resource. So let's say this was the existing resource. We do the modifications here only. So this is the patch is all about partial modifications of the existing resource, and put simply means that you need to replace the existing data with the new data. So this is the basic difference between put and patch. The next important thing that we need to know about HTTP is that it's a stateless protocol, which means that every request is treated as an independent request, as if coming from a completely new user. Now, this simply means that between each request, the HTTP protocol is not maintaining any kind of information about the user. So a very simple question that can come into your mind is, then how do we maintain user session between the requests? So cookies, sessions, and JWT tokens are the things that we use to maintain user session. But remember that HTTP at its core is a stateless protocol, and these are the things that is again provided by HTTP. We can set these things in its header, but HTTP itself is a stateless protocol. Basically, the protocol itself does not store any information, We as an application developer, we can use these things to store information. Next, let's take a look at what Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure or HTTPS is. So it's basically a secure version of HTTP. It's in the name only, and it uses encryption of data to provide security. So basically what happens is that when client sends a data to the server, or when the server sends back a response, these data are in plain text. So any hacker can take advantage of this plain text. So HTTPS is a layer of security which basically encrypts the data that you exchange between the client and server. So it's a layer of security. And how does this encryption work? So SSL and TLS certificates are used for this encryption. And all the modern browsers show a padlock for websites using HTTPS. You must have seen that in case of, let's say, bank login or any such websites where you enter some kind of sensitive information, those websites always use HTTPS, and it's mandatory for those websites to use HTTPS. And if you are browsing some kind of these kind of websites, always look for these kind of padlock symbol, which indicates that this website is using HTTPS and the data that you are going to enter is going through a secured medium. So as I already told, website asking for sensitive details, let's say credit card details or emails and password, should always use HTTPS. So this is all about HTTPS that you need to know. Let's talk about HTTP status codes. So what are these status codes? So when the client sends a request to the server, how will the client know what happened to the request, or what happened to the request that was sent to the server? So it's a way, status codes are a way for the server to tell the client what exactly happened with their request. So there are several status codes, and let's talk about them. So anything between 100s means that it's an informational response, and it simply means that the request so far was okay and it's still being processed. Anything between 200s means that the request was completely successful and everything that you intended to do with that request was completely successful. Anything in 300s means that it's a redirection response, which means that the request is being redirected. Anything in 400s means that it's a client side error, and it really means that the client, when it was trying to access some resource, the client made some kind of error. The most common error is 404 in this category, and it means that the client is trying to access a resource which doesn't even exist. So the most common error is 404, and it's in this category only. The 500 errors means that it's a server side error. So on the server side, maybe the program crashed or some kind of database error occurred, so that's why the response is not being sent. So any error that the server encounters, it can send a 500 error, which means that server is encountering some kind of error and the response is not available yet. So this was the basic idea behind status codes. Basically, it's a way through which server tells the client about what exactly happened with the request. Now let's talk about HTTP header fields. HTTP header fields are just some extra information that is being sent by the client or the server in their response and the request that they send. These headers can be divided into three subcategories: general, response, and request. And these are the various headers that they have. Some of them are pretty common. Let's say request URL is the URL that at which you are sending the request. We already talked about request methods, basically get, post, put, patch, and all those methods. We just talked about status codes. We have set cookie here and cookies here, and we already talked about that cookies can be used to maintain user sessions. So through these headers we can set those cookies. Then we have content type, which simply means that which simply states the content type that you are sending across along with the request and the response. Then we have other as well. We have authorization, which is generally used along with the JWT tokens. We already talked, right? There are two ways to maintain user sessions. One of them is cookies, and the other way is a JWT token. So we have headers for both of them. Then we have user agent, which denotes the kind of client through which you are sending the request. So it can be the name of your browser, or maybe some API testing tool. And these are the most common headers that you will be using. So these were the main concepts that you need to know. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and share this video, and please subscribe to my channel.